Hey folks, it's Tom and Frugal Prepper. So I thought I would do a video on like some of my common brake repair tools. I do a lot of brakes, as you can see. This is a couple weeks worth out here of like rotors and stuff. And then I do a lot of brake line repair too. I always keep 3 or 4 of things of Nycop on hand, and I'm actually down to about 2.5 right now. I need to order some. But this is the tools I use, and they're all pretty simple tools. I mean, I know Flat Rate Master just did a video on like all of his special line straightening tools. Like Nycop's so easy to straighten. I don't see why you need that. But, you know, to each their own, but this is just what I use. Okay, so I have my strut spring compressor in here as well, which this is just where they live. These are pretty nice. I've used the crap out of them now. They hook on and tighten down and compress the strut spring. They've only slipped out a couple times on me. Luckily I didn't lose any fingers or anything. Got me a large C-clamp. That's what I use for pressing back most of the calipers. It's really simple, it really works, and one of them big fancy tools is only going to save you a minute or two. It's just no big deal just to use a C-clamp. But you know, if you want one of those fancy caliper compressing tools, yeah, I guess go ahead and get one. But this does a darn good job. Got some brake lube. I have some more of this in the cabinet. This is what I'm using lately, is the Ultra Brake Parts Lubricant, Permatex. But anything that says it's a brake lube will work fine. That's just what they had in stock. I got my one brake caliper hook because my other one's in my mobile box. I need to get a couple more of these actually. But normally I just do one brake at a time, so normally I don't need more than one. I got a tubing bender. This is from back when I did a lot of steel line. I really don't need to use that anymore with Nycop. But occasionally you get into doing a steel line for one reason or another, so I still keep it. This is my metric bubble flaring toolkit. I got this for $10 at a pawn store. It was marked 20, but I got them to take 10 for it. It works well. This little wrench isn't much, so I usually put a regular wrench on there when I'm using it, but it works. Well, that's a bolt with some copper washers there. I've got this, which I usually have a few of these on hand. I just have this one right now. But this is so if you strip out or you have to drill out the bleeder, you can thread this back in there and put a new bleeder into a caliper. I think it was CP the Tool Addict that told me about these, and I've used them a couple times and they work really well. Now I'm normally able to get seized bleeders out, and seized bleeders are a big problem, and my oxyacetylene torches are down because the local place will not fill the acetylene for me anymore because I'm not an official business. So I'm probably going to have to get propane or switch over to propane, which is good enough for what I normally do. But these work great. I'll post a link to my video though up in the corner for you so you can see how that works. Then this is my old Snap-on kit. It's actually made by somebody else, but this was the Snap-on branded one off the Snap-on truck. And I actually use these Lyle 31 370 3/16 adapters for it. I have one in here, and it's lasted a good long time. But a lot of times these little center posts will break off of them. So I just keep an extra one on hand. Because you can't buy the ends from Snap-on anymore. But it's just a regular, you know, flaring tool. And this is a double flaring tool, but you can flip these over backwards and make a bubble flare, an acceptable bubble flare with them. I will post a link up in the corner here to Mike the Mechanics. Or just Mike the Disgruntled Mechanic. He has a good video on how to do that. And I did that on my whole Pontiac, and it worked fine. Never had a leak. So this is the tool I use the most for double flaring. And then I just have this little tubing cutter. You just tighten this down and spin it on the line. It cuts the tube. I've had this for like 10 years. Works fine. It's the only one I have. I have this one-man brake bleed kit, but I rarely use this. But I'll show you why here in a minute. And then I have this metric bubble flaring tool kit, which is missing this one die, but that's a weird size. It's got the 3/16 die. This is from OEM Tools, or OTC. It's an OTC Stinger. I bought this off of the Snap-on truck like many years ago. But it's a good little kit. It works well. I actually lost this for quite a few years. I just lost track of it. I thought I'd lent it out and not gotten it back, but it actually turned out to be in my storage unit for like 12 years. And I found it. I've got these little drill bits, and these are for getting out brake bleeders. Again, see the link to the brake bleeder extraction video to understand what these are about. Keep a couple of old axle nuts in here just for tightening up a lug nut to hold on a rotor, hold it in place while I'm putting on the brakes. I got some metric fittings, and I have all kinds of other fittings in here. I also have double flare fittings. So if I need to patch onto a brake line, like say their brake lines are good halfway back, they're perfectly fine, I'll just flare the steel line, flare a piece of Nycop, and put this double flare fitting in there and tighten them on down and save them some money. When I do rusty brake line repair, I charge by the actual hour, so it can get kind of expensive. This has this little tool in it, which I rarely use anymore. This is for the spinny type calipers. I'll show you why here in a minute. Another axle nut, some old different slide pins and hardware from stuff. I have these Craftsman flare nut wrenches. These are nice and thick and really strong. These are really good wrenches. These were Sears Craftsman. These aren't Stanley Craftsman, but they were made in China. I bought these on sale when they were going out of business. With online coupons and stuff, and I think I paid like $5 for this whole set. And they've been good wrenches. I use this for deburring my line. It's just a Harbor Freight Phillips screwdriver cut off. I put it in the end of this little drill, and I just go on my line like that and deburr the inside of it before I flare it. It makes a much nicer flare that way. I have this in here normally for helping to compress brake calipers and stuff. And then I have, anytime I have to remove a bleeder, I just replace it because they rust up really bad here. And so I just keep a whole kit of bleeders, and I keep that stocked up. And I pretty much, if there's any questionable, part about that brake bleeder, I'll just replace it with a new one while I'm bleeding. That's pretty much all the tools here that I have for doing brakes. Now, what I use for cleaning off, where the heck did it go? Now, what I use for cleaning off my caliper brackets is just this Wizzy wheel. This has got a medium on it now, but I normally put the rough one on there and just go at it with that and clean the rust off of it. It works really well. It does eat one of these up, and these, we'll buy them in bulk on Amazon. They're like 30-40 cents a piece. You know, that's fine to eat one of those up. I also have this tool. I have more ends for it, but this is for cleaning off the wheel studs, like underneath of a rotor before I replace the rotor, because I want to make sure that's all clean. When I get the hub face cleaned, I normally just go over it with the brake caliper lube and just kind of rub that in there real good. It works fine. Okay. I'm sorry, my workbench is a mess. It's been crazy this week. Car to fix every single night, you know, just sometimes 2 or 3. So I got this another C-clamp here, but this is a kit that Leak Auto Repair did a video on it a while back and recommended it, and it's been a great little kit. This just has all of your different fittings in it for all of those windy back type of calipers that you might run into. And normally on GM you can just use these right here, right, just directly with this piece. But it's got all the different fittings for weird different types of brakes. But I don't do that many exotic cars, so you know, I normally just use a few of these fittings. But this was really cheap. It's a OMT, Orion Motor Tech. I will put a link to it on my channel or down below. This is something that's been life-changing for me. This is the Motive Products Power Bleeder, and then you can buy the extra different kinds of adapters. So this is the Chrysler Dodge adapter for it. And this is the Ford and Asian adapter set for it. And then I have the GM adapter on here. But you can buy adapters for all this. You pump this up and you hook this up to the master cylinder. It keeps the master cylinder topped off and pressurizes the system, so you can just go crack the bleeders loose. This thing's just been, you know, it's just life-changing. Just so much better than anything else. This is like one of the best things you can do. I'll put a link to this down below. But if you're going to do a lot of brakes, this is one of the best things you can get. It's just a really amazing investment. I just buy my brake fluid in the gallons. I get this at the Rural King. So, you know, just about 3 brake fluid. I keep a few gallons of it on hand because you will go through it when you're working on a lot of brakes. But that's kind of what I do for my brakes. I do also have the Master Cool hydraulic flaring tool. As you can tell, this hasn't been used a whole lot. Really just a few times for doing fuel lines. I find that it takes so long to set this up to do a whole brake line. It's much faster just to use the hand flaring tools. But it's great for the Jiffy type connections and the transmission fittings and all that stuff. It does all those weird fittings so that you can repair fuel lines and transmission lines. Alright folks, that's what I use for my brake tools. Mike the Flat Rate Master recently did a video. I'll put a link to it up in one of the corners. You know, you can watch his video. He's got some neat stuff. I find it really kind of unnecessary. I do a crap ton of brake line repair. I mean, a lot. It's probably the second most popular thing I do, right behind diagnosis, you know, electrical and drivability diagnosis. So that's just what I do. That's how I do it. You know, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just the guy that you bring your car to actually fix it after it's been to the professional mechanic, and you've spent $1,000 and you still have the same problem. That you bring it to me. I figure it out. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. It's time for Real Prepper.